Angie's family moved to Burbank, California, when she was still a young girl, and she went to Bella and Jefferson High School and then Immaculate Heart College. Her inherent charm and beauty started to shine there, but at first her goals were far different from those of the performing arts. Her initial goal was to work as an editor or writer, but when she entered a local beauty pageant, fate stepped in, bringing her early notoriety and opening doors to Hollywood chances. Angie made her debut in show business in the 1950s, when Hollywood was going through a golden age of transformation and television was booming in popularity. Her initial acting performances were brief cameos in well-known TV series including Gunsmoke, The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp, and Death Valley Days. Directors and casting agencies were immediately drawn to her remarkable beauty and effortless on-camera style. Angie was credible as both a strong independent heroine and a romantic lead, because she had a combination of toughness and charm that was uncommon in actresses of her era. Her first significant hit came in 1959 when she co-starred with John Wayne, Dean Martin, and Ricky Nelson in Howard Hawks' iconic western Rio Bravo. Her portrayal of the self-assured and flirtatious Sophia demonstrated her ability to command attention on screen while retaining a whimsical elegance, garnering her worldwide praise and making her one of her generation's most promising performers. Angie Dickinson rose to fame in the 1960s and 1970s thanks to a series of hit movies that solidified her star power and versatility. She co-starred with Hollywood icons such Burt Reynolds in Sam Whiskey 1969, Lee Marvin in Point Blank 1967, and Frank Sinatra in Ocean's 11, 1960. Her acting range, which ranged from the seductive and enigmatic to the clever and brave, was unveiled in new ways with each performance. However, Angie was never satisfied with being limited to glamorous or supporting parts. She looked for roles that would give her the opportunity to play strong, capable women who could compete with men in any setting. This perseverance paid off in one of her most well-known appearances, which was in the revolutionary 1974 to 1978 television series, Policewoman. Angie received 3 Emmy nods and a Golden Globe Award for her role as Sergeant Pepper Anderson, one of the first female leads in a major network police drama. Numerous women were inspired by her portrayal of a strong, courageous, and caring undercover police officer, and it cleared the path for upcoming generations of female protagonists in law enforcement shows. Angie's persistent appeal is demonstrated by the length of her career and her ongoing significance. She continued to play a variety of difficult parts in television series and motion pictures even after Policewoman, such as Dressed to Kill 1980, in which she gave one of her most audacious and well-recognized performances under Brian De Palma's direction. Her performance in this psychological thriller demonstrated her ability to change with the times and her unwavering willingness to explore nuanced contemporary characters. Angie later made appearances in well-known films including Even Cowgirls Get the Blues 1993 and Pay It Forward 2000, providing a level of sophistication and insight that could only come from decades of experience. Jean Dickinson, a former collegiate football player who went on to have a prosperous career in the electronics sector, was Angie Dickinson's first spouse. Angie was just starting to break into the entertainment industry, making appearances in modest television roles and gradually establishing her Hollywood profile when the two got married in 1952. Although it appeared steady in the beginning, their marriage soured as Angie's career took off in the middle of the 1950s, bringing her closer and closer to the social and professional elites of Hollywood and Washington, D.C. The couple's 8-year union, which had withstood the trials of ambition, distance, and celebrity, came to an end in 1956, though they did not formally file for divorce until 1960. Even though the marriage ended, Angie decided to continue using her married name, Dickinson, which by that point had already been a part of her professional identity and the name she would later use to gain international fame in television and movies. Angie developed a strong and enduring friendship with renowned economist John Kenneth Galbraith and his wife, Catherine Galbraith, during her time with Jean Dickinson. The Galbraiths were well-known scholars and diplomats who had a significant impact on American and international politics and culture. Angie had a fascinating view into the world of academia and international politics away from the glamour of Hollywood thanks to her association with the couple. In the early 1960s, Galbraith was named the United States Ambassador to India by President John F. Kennedy. During his service, Angie traveled there and experienced firsthand India's diverse political and cultural landscape at a critical juncture in its contemporary history. Galbraith's memoirs, such as Ambassador's Journal and A Life in Our Times, lovingly described these visits and her close friendship with the Angie is described as a glamorous visitor and a perceptive conversationalist who had a keen interest in the world outside of entertainment. Her viewpoint was widened and her enjoyment of art, diplomacy, and international politics was strengthened by these encounters. Following her first marriage, Angie Dickinson lived independently for a number of years until finding love once more, this time with one of the 20th century's most renowned composers and songwriters, Burt Bacharach. The couple became one of the most glitzy and creatively fascinating pairs of the time when they were married in 1965. Dickinson's career in movies and television was taking off. While Bacharach was already well known for his intricate pop tunes and partnerships with writer Hal David, they established themselves as a mainstay in Hollywood's social scene together, admired for their grace and respect for one another in addition to their talent. However, underneath the surface glitz, their connection was nuanced. After 16 years of marriage, tensions started to surface as both partners followed demanding occupations that regularly kept them apart. They went through a time of separation in the later years of their marriage, during which they both allegedly dated other individuals. But they still had a strong emotional connection that never completely faded. Dickinson gave birth to Nikki Bach, their only child, on July 12, 1966. Due to her 3-month preterm birth, Nikki experienced a number of health problems from birth. As she got older, Nikki received a diagnosis of autism, a disorder that was stigmatized and not well understood at the time. Angie often turned down jobs or changed her employment to spend more time at home since she was so focused on taking care of her daughter. Nikki's struggles had a profound impact on both Angie and Bert, and their joint attempts to help her caused tension and sensitivity in their marriage. Nikki tragically died by suicide on January 4, 2007, at the age of 40, as a result of her lifetime problems, a terrible loss that left both parents deeply affected. In her brief but poignant remarks, Angie described Nikki as a lovely, intelligent, and affectionate soul who struggled to make sense of the world. Angie and Bert maintained their relationship despite their final divorce in 1981, thanks to their enduring love and shared experiences. In the course of his illustrious musical career, Bacharach wrote innumerable singles that were included in the soundtrack of popular culture in the United States. In the meantime, Angie kept performing in movies and television shows, receiving recognition for her poise and fortitude in the face of personal tragedy. Dickinson's narrative would not be the same without their entwined legacy as parents. To a daughter whose short life profoundly affected them, as well as lovers in life and love. After a lengthy and fruitful life, Burt Bacharach passed away in 2023, leaving behind a vast musical legacy that still motivates people today. Following decades of rumors and silence about her purported relationship to the late actor James Arness, a cherished Hollywood legend, finally, Angie Dickinson has made the decision to share. Dickinson, who is now in her 90s, looks back on her life with candor and grace while answering one of the most recurring topics that has plagued her throughout her lengthy and illustrious career: her relationship with the towering hero of Gunsmoke. With love and nostalgia in her voice, she opens up. James was one of the most fascinating men I ever met. He was more than simply a good-looking cowboy on TV. He was very shy, considerate, and kind. People were unaware of his true gentleness. Dickinson remembers that they first met during the heyday of television, when Hollywood was a tight-knit world where producers, directors, and performers frequently interacted at the same events. She says, "We met at a dinner party in the late 1950s. After Rio Bravo, I was only beginning to get recognition, whereas he was already well known. In terms of both height and presence, I recall thinking he was the tallest man I had ever seen." Arness, who was 6 feet 7 inches and frequently intimidating at first appearance. Dickinson maintains that beneath his tough exterior was a heart that pulsed with sincerity and calm emotion, despite having its roots in respect for one another. Their friendship was also influenced by the difficulties of celebrity. Dickinson claims that we were both working constantly. While I was filming one project after another, he was smoking a gun. Even though we didn't have much time for serious conversations due to our schedules, we always managed to find time to chat. She discloses that their discussions did not center on Hollywood rumors or professional aspirations. James cherished simplicity, nature, and solitude. She has pleasant memories. He disliked being in the spotlight. He would much rather be sitting quietly in a beautiful place, biking or fishing. That was really grounding for me. Their friendship became stronger over time, but Dickinson maintains that theirs was a very intimate and private bond that the tabloids would never comprehend. According to her, Arness is a man who doesn't say much, but when he did, you paid attention. I always respected him for having a strong sense of ethics. Both performers maintained their discretion even after relationship rumors started to circulate. People enjoy speculating about romantic relationships between friends or co-stars, she says, but the reality is frequently more nuanced and quiet. My bond with James was based on sincerity and trust. No headline could compare to it. Dickinson's reflections on Arness's death in 2011 became increasingly reflective. It hit me harder than I expected when he died, she admits. Even though it had been years since we had last seen one another, the memories were still clear. In my early Hollywood days, he was a constant, a reminder of what decency looked like in a field that didn't always appreciate it. He was loyal, steady, and never pretended to be anything he wasn't, she continues after pausing. It's not common. Dickinson, who is 93 years old, acknowledges that time has changed her viewpoint on the connections that influenced her life. As you age, you come to understand that not all connections require labels, she muses. Even though you can't explain it, some people have an impact on your life that you will never forget. Ernest was one of such individuals in her opinion. I didn't often display my calm, patient side, but he brought it out in me. Additionally, I believe I made him laugh a little harder. She recalls his sense of humor, which she characterizes as surprising and dry, and she smiles. She claims that he wasn't the type of man to crack jokes. However, when he did say something amusing, it was always witty and would appear out of nowhere. He seemed to understand more than he admitted. As seen by the sparkle in his eye, Dickinson gives a considered response when asked if she has ever regretted not going. Father with Arness. No, I don't believe so, she replies. Life has a rhythm of its own. Sometimes it's sufficient that we were where we needed to be when we needed to be there. She acknowledges, however, that the bond they had is still very meaningful to her. I still grin whenever I watch old Gunsmoke repeats anymore. I remember the man, not just the performer, and I sense that quiet strength and warmth below. Dickinson has become more introspective about the individuals who shaped Hollywood's heyday in her older years. She murmurs, so many of them are gone now. However, James is among those who remain with you. His warmth and his spirit never go away. Angie Dickinson's final remarks regarding James Arness are not intended to correct historical rumors or set the record straight. It's about respecting a friendship that had genuine meaning. She writes, he was a rare soul, and I feel fortunate that our paths crossed in such a meaningful way for a brief period of time at night. Her words are laden with knowledge, love, and the gentle dignity of a lady who has experienced a rich and remarkable life.